Hello, and welcome to another video by ThatSportScienceBlog. My name's Nick. I'm going to take you through my most used and useful functions on Excel. These functions are important for any sports scientist, and they're the functions that I use on a daily basis when performing my analysis of data. Here are my top 10 functions over here, and this is the data set we are going to perform those functions on. So, this column has the player's name, their position, and then the total distance they've done in that session. First of all, we might want to know what the total amount of distance is all those players did together. So I'll write equals sum, open brackets, highlight our data, close brackets, enter, and that gives me the total distance, or the total of all those numbers in those cells. So next, I might want to know what the average amount of distance it was performed by players. So I'll write equals average, open brackets, select the data again, close brackets, enter, and it returns the average amount of total distance performed by the players in that session. I might also want to know what the standard deviation is of that data. So I can write equals standard, or start writing ST, and then you can see it pops up with a couple options. So I'm just going to press down, and I will have of a sample. I'm going to hit tab, okay, and then I'm going to highlight the data. Little error there, so I'll go through that again, and highlight the data, close brackets, enter, and it returns the standard deviation of that data set. I might also want to know what the largest number is in this data, or what the smallest number is in this data. So to do this, I can use the max or min function. So I write equals max, open brackets, select that data, and it returns the largest number in that data set. I can do this with a min, exactly the same process, close brackets, and it returns the smallest number of that data set. Okay, so moving on to ifs. Sometimes I want to include or exclude data from my analysis based on a certain criteria. So we can use the if function to do that. I'm going to write equals if, open brackets, and it gives me a logical test. So I'm going to say if this cell here, okay, I'm going to lock that by column, comma, okay, so if that equals this up here, and I'm going to lock that by row, comma, then I want it to return the total distance done there, and I'm going to lock that by column. I'm going to say if it's false, then I want it to return nothing, so I put the double quotation marks in there, close brackets, enter. As you can see, I'm just going to drag this down. It only returns that value where this equals defender. And because I have locked that to defender, okay, but not the column, when I drag it across, this is now looking for midfielders. Okay, so nice, simply done. It can exclude or include data there. So if I drag this across, okay, you will see that now these same functions are doing the same formula on this data only. So now I have the average for the defenders, the midfielders, and the attackers. So we can quite easily perform a little bit more in-depth analysis. Now Excel is very kind to us, and it actually will do most of these functions with a specific function, which I'm going to show you now. And these are the count if, sum ifs, and average if function. So if I write equals count, okay, and then come down to this count if, open brackets, the range, I might want to know how many defenders are in that. So I'm going to put comma, I'm going to type defenders this time, okay, and then close those parentheses, and then enter. Oh, I've written, so you can see that I've added an S there, so I'm going to take that off. And now it tells me there was 3 defenders in this data set. Now I might want to know how much total distance those defenders did, so I'm going to write equals sum if. I'm going to take the criteria range, comma that, and I'm going to write defender, again. Okay, and then I'm going to want it to sum. It tells me the sum range here. I'm going to drag that data there and enter, and it tells me they have done just over 10,000 meters. So we can do that for the average if. I might want to know what the average distances defenders do, so it's exactly the same. Take your inclusion criteria. Okay, what is the inclusion criteria here? Defender, and then what do you want to average, and there it is there. Okay, brilliant. So I can double check that with our data here. So the sum, there you go, and the average, and it's exactly the same. But this is, as you can see, just a much more condensed and easier way of doing that same analysis. So we might want to work out the standard deviation in a similar way. Well, unfortunately, Excel doesn't provide a standard deviation if function. But what we can do is we combine what we know of the if function here with the standard deviation function. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write equals standard deviation, exactly the same as before. Okay, and now I'm going to slip in a if function, and I'm going to type it in there. Now what I want is the same as before, so I'm going to put this data here equals defender, okay, close brackets, work out the standard deviation of this data, close brackets, shift control, enter. Oh, we just need to add in another comma bracket there, which Excel has done for us, and I'm going to accept that. It works it out for me. Now it's very important that you hit shift control, otherwise it won't work that out for you. And we can double check that there, and brilliant. So now we've got the standard deviation, and we've done all that analysis there without having a helper column there. So it just speeds up the process, and those functions are very useful and very important to me. So what we also might want to do is we might want to rank that data. So we can obviously use a sort function in Excel, but if you're building a dashboard or some sort of template, then you don't want to, every time you input that data, sort it. So instead we can rank it. So we write equals rank, okay? I'm going to take the rank average, and I want to rank this number in this reference of data. Now it's very important that you lock that reference data there, and I'm going to close the brackets and enter that, and it tells me that John did the 8th highest amount of total distance there. So what I might want to do is build a little top 5 table here. So if I put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 there, I'm going to use the Vlookup function to return the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth player by total distance. So I'm going to write equals Vlookup. Okay, I'm going to look up that value. I'm going to lock that by column, comma, and here's my table array, and it will look up this first column here where we've got them ranked. It's important that we lock the table array, comma again, index number, so I want it to return 1, 2, the player's name, so 2 in here. Okay, and I want the exact match. So I press enter. Oh, and fill is number 1, as we know from over here. And if I drag that down, it's done that same for each number here. So it looks up 5 here, comes across and finds Matt there. Now, if I drag this across, we want the position and total distance in there, which it doesn't do unless if I change that column reference number, so 1, 2, 3, it's now putting in the position, and then here I'll put in 4, and it will return that number. Okay, and then I double click in this little box here, and it goes down there, so now we have the player, position, total distance, and we could build this system for a much larger data set, or we could put it into a dashboard or some sort of template, and we'll have all this analysis done for you straight away and nice and quick. So as you can see there, I was taking you through those top 10 functions there, and I hope you find them useful, and I hope you enjoyed the video.